Do you know this uncomfortable feeling when other people have emotions or when you have emotions and you're feeling like, there's something underlying there, but I don't want to go there? In this video, I want to talk with you about exactly this uncomfortable feeling and how we can tap into emotions nevertheless, and also what is preventing us from going into the emotions or from holding room for emotions of other people in these moments. Hi, my name is Uma. I'm a classically trained shaman, and in my YouTube series about emotional literacy, I dive into the baseline of my work with you, the first things that I teach my students when I train them to be shamans. Today, a question reached me, and this question was about exactly this topic. Someone said to me, I have the feeling that sometimes I can't dive deeper into my own emotions. I feel like emotion is coming up, but then there is something underneath it and I can't get there. It's like it's blocked from my view. And also sometimes when I feel other people have emotions, I feel like I want to leave. I want to avoid contact with them then because I don't know, there's a blocker. I can't see. And since that is something that I bet everybody knows, I want to dive into that with you. In this series about emotional literacy, I provide you with the information that the emotions can give you. I provide you with how you can nourish them, with what they can do for your life, how you can use them to have more satisfaction in life, and how to be happier in general. When we use emotions that way, it comes with consequences. Because once we have the information that the emotion is providing us, we have responsibility. And this responsibility can be quite shocking. Now, there are several layers to this general topic of avoiding emotions. One is how we are trained to think of us as humans, and another one is a deterministic worldview. And I want to dive into both. Since in the last decades, we learned a lot more about why emotions come to us, how we can deal with them differently. And that might differ a lot from what people knew before. What we are doing here is quite an uncharted land. It most likely won't be how our parents learned to deal with emotions. And it most likely won't be how our ancestors learned to deal with emotions. In the very first video, we talked about the ancestors and how they influence how emotions are dealt with in our families. And most likely, a lot of us did not have emotionally available parents or parents that were fluent in speaking emotions. During these times, when someone had emotions, it was projected upon the other people that they made the emotions that the person is feeling. You might have heard, "You're making me angry," or "You're making me sad" when you grew up. Or maybe you still hear that to this day. While this is partly true because apparently we trigger sadness or anger or any other emotion in other people, we are not responsible for that emotional reaction in them. And that is a crucial point. Emotions are for the one that is feeling them. That does not mean that we have to be unempathetic with them, but it means we are not responsible for changing the feelings in other people. That is a fine difference. While it is important to know that another person feels a certain way when something happens, it is more important to know what the needs are that this person has. So when someone says, "You're making me angry," what are their needs there? What do they really need? And then we can ask ourselves, what do I need? Am I willing to give this other person what they need? Most of us have learned in childhood to not think about this process, but just to change our behaviors so other people don't feel what they feel. And here we have the opportunity to do something different. That said, in case you are hurting someone, of course you need to change your behavior. Of course you need to change your wording or how you behave towards someone else if they are hurting. And for all the other times, we only have to hold a room where they can explore deeper what their true needs are or have been if they are triggered in an old hurt. That means, in the instance that we feel an emotion, it is crucial for us to have the ability in our minds to be a functioning adult at all times, even if it's just 10% of our mind capacity. And the other 90% can dive into feeling the emotion, finding out where it comes from, if something old was triggered, and what the true needs are. But it is crucial that we stay a functioning adult at all times, because otherwise we cannot extract the information that we get from the emotion. If we stay in the pattern that someone is feeling something and we just want to make them feel better, nothing is won, because it might very well be that we neglect our own needs or that we neglect the point that we want to bring across. And of course, for the other person, they do not learn about their needs. They do not learn about how they can express their needs and what their actual true point here is, what they really need to go forward or to go deeper into a good relationship. If we have learned to take on responsibility as children for the feelings of our parents because we do not want to make them angry or sad or anything else, then we do not respect our own boundaries and we do not respect the boundaries of the other person because they are responsible for their own feelings and for their own consequences of the feelings. And to manage this level of empathy, like I see that you are feeling something and I'm here for you. I'm here for you when you are feeling that. Let's talk about it. Let's go deeper. This kind of empathy, really being your best and honorable self while you go into contact with other people. And at the same time, to not make it your problem, but to make it something that you can inquire more about, to find out more about the other person and find out more about yourself in the same process. That's a very fine line that we have to walk, but one really worth it. Now, if we take on the responsibility of our own feelings, a lot of emotions can come up with that. If I discover my need when something is felt and the other person cannot fulfill my need, do I have to go out of contact then? And going out of contact is, for a social being as we humans are, something that might feel like a little death. So then again, as children, we have learned to neglect ourselves to appease others, to make them feel better. But that brought us out of contact with ourselves and made the contact with the other person taste bad because we had to play to be someone else or to fulfill something they needed without even clearly mentioning it. And if we want to have a real good contact to ourselves and to other people, to really connect deeply from heart to heart, that is not the way we can move forward.